Hello, everyone. So, as part of our series for the EIS Fund 16 that closes on the 30th of September, following on from the previous video we did with We Are Fulfillment, I'm thrilled to announce that Turing Biosystems have passed through our IC and are the second confirmed company for this tranche. So, without further ado, I'd like to hand over to Remy and Adam to offer a bit more insight into the founders.
Thanks, Tom. Hi, I'm Adam, co-founder of Turing Biosystems. I have a computational biology background originally, so did a PhD back in the UK in Manchester of a biochemistry medical background before. And after that, I joined the cancer branch of the WHO, where I developed their framework to integrate multi-layer data from patients in different hospitals, working with pharma, with clinicians, and so on. And at that time, I was talking with Remy, who happens to be a childhood friend. We met in the science club 15 odd years ago. And I was complaining about my daily life, and that's kind of what got us on track for Turing. Maybe you
Yeah.
can give a bit of background.
So basically, I'm Remy, and I did a PhD in computer science on a very weird and niche subfield of computer science, we could say, because it was about critical systems and those things that cannot afford to fail. Yeah. So your nuclear reactor, your airplane, your trains, things where you want a very high level certainty of functioning on those things, because, well, otherwise people can die or it can end up really, really bad. So developing this kind of AI techniques in my PhD for this kind of systems, and then working for an American company in the semiconductor industry to help people like all the big names to design their shiny new chips. So my word was very much how can we design and how can we build AI methods and reasoning methods in particular to design these very large chips that we can find in our smartphones and computers. And so we talked with Adam, that was at WHO, analyzing large cohorts of data from patients all over the world. Um, and basically, I he told me basically how it's going in the life science industry in general, either in research or in pharma companies. And I told him what are all these wonderful things that we have in the semiconductor industry, all this nice software that can take your idea of what you want to design in a chip nearly in English and take that idea and with the power of AI and reasoning, take that idea and in the end get a manufacturing plan that I can send to my favorite semiconductor foundry somewhere in Asia. Whereas in the life science industry, basically, we don't have any of this. It's very primitive from a software perspective in many, many respects. So Adam was doing a lot of stuff
Yeah,
manually that you had to do and build
exactly.
yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And we realized that we could bring a lot of those core technologies in our space, and especially to tackle the stress and problem that biotech and pharma company face in the translation of their assets into clinical context. So when you move from the lab to going to real human is a bit like when you take a chip from the lab to get it to commercialize it and bring it on market. We have this similar problem of this chasm of limitation when you have to bring that to patient and then to market. So we built our platform around that concept fundamentally, and the underlying technology has been thought around an auditability and trustworthiness, if you wish. So make sure that we can give an audit trail to a biotech or pharma company when they're going to take a decision to go after a certain patient group or optimize in a certain way their drug or their assets. And this has been a critical piece because we realized companies like Sanofi, with whom we worked, or biotech companies like Geneton, that can have major issues with their drugs, such as side effects or efficacy issues. That means when you enter into patients, you have to reduce your market size by reducing your population because this population respond badly, etc. So you reduce your go-to market as a company. And we've realized that it was a key value add for them to be able to identify actionable insights, like what do I do concretely? Great, your AI, your platform can give me insights and so on. But if I don't know what I'm supposed to do operationally, like do I combine a drug for these patients? Do I completely avoid them because they're just too complicated to treat? What do I do? So we went after that. And since then, we've been working with, as I mentioned, the pharma and biotech companies, major hospitals across the UK, France, and now touching to the US to bring in real-world data that inform our models, that inform our platform for those people to be able to prove that what they have can go into those patients in clinical development.
Perfect. As well, could you give maybe a bit of insight into sort of your commercial success in the past 12 months, as well as with a view to what the next 12 months could potentially look like on that front?
Yeah, exactly. So in the last 12 months, it has been largely focused on developing the product and starting to get it in the hands of the clinical development teams. So I mentioned the Sanofi deal, but we are working to expand that in immunology because we started in immuno-oncology around especially the immune response of patients to the drugs in that space. And now it's moving across immunology. The gene therapy company, we discovered with our platform, they discovered new assets to combine with their assets to reduce side effects. So this is things that are going to go on market in patient very quickly. And in the last few months, we've refocused strongly on medium-sized and small biotech. And we filled up our pipeline actually quite quickly with about 8 small and medium biotech that with average ACVs of 50 to 100K per year to use the platform to support them in this stressful piece for them, which literally means life or death if they don't go into clinics. And obviously, the hospital network has been expanding quite fast. So we started with about 5 at the start of the year. Now we have about 40 in our waiting list to expand the access to the platform to bring this data.
Perfect. Cheers for that, guys. Jeremy, could you give a little more insight as to sort of how we evaluated this from our IC's perspective?
Yeah, sure. I think just to add to what Adam was saying, I guess you guys first received investment in 2022, I believe, from January Ventures and Creator Fund. And in that first year of operating, you were able to sign that contract with Sanofi, which is huge credit to you both and the team. Big pharma, meaty contract, which is fantastic. But I think we can all agree that we found that pharma does take or does typically have long sales cycles. And so this refocus and repositioning towards small and medium-sized biotechs makes complete sense. And like you said, because in these cases, these biotechs are built around the scientific risk of one drug reaching commercialization. And so they need to be doing everything they can to increase that probability of success. And I guess what made this opportunity exciting for us is in recent time, there have been several high-profile failures of therapies at late stage of clinical development. So this was pertinent for us. And I think that was also substantiated by conversations we had with David from Neural, who's also part of the Haatch investment team, sort of has a background in biotech and biology, as well as also James, who we spoke to, which I don't think you both were aware of, but we spoke to James, who's part of our network. He's a senior director at Roche, and he completely agreed with the idea of leveraging data-driven or AI technologies to increase that probability of success given those high profile of failures, and plus also agreed with the focus on immunology and immune oncology as well. I guess what's exciting for us is that you guys have done a good job, particularly with that Sanofi project of building something that was incredibly valuable in this sort of digital simulation of how a drug can affect different parts of the biology. And then on top of that, provide insights into how inclusion of other variables or other things, in essence, could lead to certain side effects and then make recommendations off the back of that, which is valuable in and of itself. And I think what makes this business become incredibly valuable over time, I think, is the continued partnerships with companies like Geneton and other small and medium biotechs, plus also hospitals, to build up that repository of private data which you can then use to complement the public research, which your autonomous reasoning model was built upon, which only then leads to, improving the recommendations that you're making in that clinical development phase. So for all those reasons, we're excited, and I think it's the time is now to invest in this space, and we're excited, and we've spoken to other investors, we've also spoken to clinicians, you've also spoken to who would be buyers in this space, and they all agree that given these high-profile failures, that pharma and also small and medium biotechs are actively looking for AI-driven solutions and new processes rather than currently, which is what the market is dominated by, clinician-led judgment calls, and looking for more data-driven insights instead. So that's why we decided to back you guys, and you both are credible. Remy, I think your experience with semiconductors and your experience in sort of having firsthand experience seeing how innovation is driven in that industry and taking those learnings and those principles and that infrastructure and bringing it over to drug development is valuable. And then I guess you, Adam, your direct experience in this space, leveraging data, leveraging biology to bring innovation, I guess you both just complement each other perfectly.
Perfect. Cheers for that, Jeremy. And yeah, Adam and Remy, it's great to have you in the portfolio. So I look forward to hearing about the updates from you guys going forward.